Alright, in this video I'm going to be replacing the front struts in my 2012 Nissan Pathfinder. I got the springs from Rock Auto and they are LaForge. I think it's pronounced maybe LaForge. They were $125 Canadian and they came as a pair. And quite honestly, Rock Auto did not do a great job of shipping these things this time. They were pretty mangled inside the box, but obviously they were in a larger box, so I guess that's okay. And they are 416-2017 or 71259s. And there are links in the description. As well, I'll put timestamps in because this is long. And these Bilstein shocks were $225 for the pair. They come with the mount, the top bolt, and they also have a washer inside them. Not great instructions, by the way. And you can see the product number there. I did have to go and get a spring compressor for about, I don't know, 80 bucks. And then I got all new top mount kit from Z1 Off-Road. And that kit was, I think, about $90 Canadian with taxes and shipping. So for both sides, not the worst. And then I also got new nuts from Z1 Off-Road. Basically, anytime I work on my car now, I don't even bother with starting if I don't have the nuts and bolts for it. And I also got new bottom bolts and new bottom nuts for this thing as well. And you can see the product details there from Nissan. And those were, I don't know, 20 bucks. So all in, I paid about $655 Canadian. My vehicle's just too rusty. It's not worth starting a project if you don't have the nuts and bolts. Now, Nissan wanted $400 each for a quick strut. And then they said about $240 each for labor. So the total cost from Nissan is about $1,550. So you save about $900. Now to do this, I recommend taking off the sway bar end link first. I do have a video on sway bar end links. I'll post it as well. And the bottom bolt on this strut is 19 mil. So a wrench, a breaker bar, or something, and mine are seized on pretty good. I am able to get the first one off. This is passenger side. But the driver's side, I really had to work at it and use the torch, stuff like that. So I really did beat up that one nut and bolt combo to get the driver's side one off. But anyway, 19 mil, and then I would take off the sway bar end link as well. In fact, I do the sway bar end link first on the next wheel. So highly recommended to do that. And I've obviously been spraying these things with PB Blaster for a while. And then there's 3 bolts up top. And you need to remove the nuts, obviously. Also, I've been spraying those with PB Blaster, and there's one there. There's one a little further back right there. And then there's one on sort of the other back side. Don't take off the middle one, because that's the thing that holds the spring on. And before I do anything, I do come in and I use this little paint stick. So before I take the wheel off, I'm a little bit out of order here. I have already done this. And I don't film it on the other side either, but I just take this little paint stick that I got from, I think it's Home Depot paint section, and I just put some white paint to mark the vehicle's driving position of the lower control arm to the frame. And that is because when you tighten the lower bolt on the strut, you want it at the ride height of the vehicle. And I do that on both sides of the control arm. Now, I had to go get a couple other things as well. One is a 19 mil deep socket. I have a 19 mil shallow socket, and it was not big enough to get all the way down this nut on the shock, but when I had the deep socket, I was able to get in there. So I had to use a pretty big breaker bar, and I was able to get this one moving by myself without having to use torches, that sort of thing. The other side, not the case. And like I said, the sway bar is in the way, and when the sway bar is moving with the rest of the steering components, it just gets in the way. So I've got Moog ones on. It's an 18 mil bolt. It might be 19 or 17 mil for the standard Nissan one, but pretty straightforward to get these off. Like I said, I got a video on that. For this one, I raised the suspension up to get that bolt out, but for the other one, I actually push it downward. And the bolt is a little bit difficult to get out, especially when it's in this high position, and that's why I recommend removing the bolt in the lower position so that it's coming out below the sway bar. And you can see it's getting a little hot there, and then once it pops out, the suspension does drop down. And this is why I recommend having the entire sway bar end link out of there, because there's a little bit of a pocket in there to get the suspension out, and if the sway bar end link is still even half connected, it's difficult to get out. So anyway, I take the 14 mil wrench, I go up top. These ones are actually pretty easy to remove. They only go in at 22 foot-pounds, so it's not like they're crazy tight like the bottom, which is 155 foot-pounds. In an effort to not bust my knuckles against the vehicle though, I do use a dead blow and just tap the wrenches to get them started, and then I just use a socket. I was able to get the torque wrench in for all of these when I'm tightening them, but you do need an assortment of different sockets, from the deep socket, shallow socket, maybe a couple small extensions, that sort of thing, because a couple of them are tight. The one that's right up front isn't. And I will add that this top mount is directional. It only goes in one way. So when you're building your strut, you need to take that into consideration as well. And then once everything's off, it's not that hard to remove these things. As long as that sway bar is not still attached, everything will drop down. And it's a little tight up top, but they slide out. Now, when you're building your strut, a couple tips. This bottom mount does not go like that. That's too high. It actually goes on in the other orientation, just like that. If you try to have them flip the other way, you'll never get that spring compressed. And then obviously the boot goes back on. And then I'm using the washer in the upper cup orientation like that, so it fits like that. I've seen both, and this is where it's a little confusing with these Bilsteins, is that on their website, I've seen that first washer oriented both up and down. And the other thing about these springs is I didn't think I was going to get these compressors out of there. There's a lot more coils on this spring than on the Nissan ones, and I don't really show up, but the other Nissan spring is broken, so that's the real reason these had to come out. And really, you just compress the spring until the top will sit and be able to move freely. As long as it sits on that washer and it's not just sitting on the spring, you've gone far enough, I would say. So I've got this assembled top washer, and then there is a lower bushing, which is actually the size of the top mount, and then the top mount with the 3 bolts in it. And then I've got the upper bushing, and there's a metal sleeve, and then the top washer. And then obviously there's going to be a bolt that holds everything together at 30 foot-pounds. And I will say instructions on this online are almost non-existent. So I did do quite a bit of looking around, and none of these things actually came with instructions. So a bit of a pain. And like I said, you could only get that top mount into the vehicle in one orientation. So just be careful when you're putting it on that you're oriented correctly so that the bottom mount marries up with where it connects to the vehicle. And the top is also where you want to connect it to the vehicle. This top nut, you can't really torque it. You got to hold the center. So I'm using a 19 mil wrench here. I think I'm using a 10 mil to hold the top, but essentially it compresses fairly easily, obviously until it meets that metal sleeve insert. And then it's supposed to be 30 foot-pounds, which I guess I've just guesstimated at 30 foot-pounds. But while you're compressing the rubber, it's pretty easy going, and then it obviously gets significantly more difficult, and I'm assuming that's where the sleeve and the washers all sort of starts compressing onto the metal. And obviously once that top nut is fully seated, I'm going to take the 19 mil and I'm just going to slowly back these spring compressors off. Now getting this thing in was fairly easy. I put the bottom in first and it drops all the way down to where the sway bar end link goes. It just sits in there, again, only in one orientation because the 3 bolts up top will only fit in a certain orientation. And with it sort of semi-inserted into the vehicle, I'm just going to take those 3 nuts and put them on loosely to begin with. And then I sort of adjusted the bottom a little bit. Like I said, this time I went and lifted the control arm up a little bit, and then I used a crowbar to pull everything so that it comes down a little bit as well. And that's how I got the bolt in. And I would recommend that technique when you're taking them out as well. It was just easier, and it didn't cause that bolt at the bottom to get all pressure loaded by the spring when you push it up. So I'll put that nut on sort of loosely on the bottom and get that jack out of there. And now with the torque wrench, I'm going to take these top nuts down to 22 foot-pounds is what I'm running from the manual. Now the Haynes manual I have says you can reuse all the nuts and bolts except for the one that is the spring retainer, that one in the center at the top. Now I've raised the suspension up with a jack, And like I said, I had looked at the paint marks that I made for the normal ride height of the vehicle. Now I'm going to take the lower nut down to 155 foot-pounds, which is quite a bit, but it's not too difficult. I found that the bolt doesn't really turn too much when you're doing the nut. And I would recommend leaving it jacked up for when you do the sway bar end links. And for this, these are Moog, and they came with a specific torque spec of 65 foot-pounds. So that's what I do end up using, which is the manufacturer recommendation on the Moog sway bar end links. And that is top and bottom 65 foot-pounds. And then that's it. So that's the passenger side done. And just do a quick check. So bottom, again, new nut and bolt combo, torque to 155 foot-pounds, and then the top's good to go as well. Now, this did take a long time. You can see it's starting to get later. So I've taken the tire off, I put the paint marks on, and I have removed the sway bar end link completely before I start anything. Now I'm going to take the nut and bolt combo off the bottom. This is the one that gives me a lot of grief, but I eventually get it. I had to really hit it with the torch, and really, I would say it's unusable as a nut and bolt combo. And then I've got the jack stand under there, and then I also used a breaker bar with I think it's a 3-foot extension on this thing. It goes eventually, but it's pretty catastrophic, and the bolt and the nut are pretty chewed up when I'm done with this thing. So this is why I always buy new nuts and bolts for the Nissan before I do anything important on it. The top nuts were also more difficult to remove on this side as well, and eventually they came off. Wasn't a big deal. And once the bottom bolt was out completely and the top nuts were off, I just used the crowbar, pulled it out like that. Then I used my knee to push everything down, and then obviously I was able to get that front strut out without any issue. Now building up the driver's side one, you do need to take the boot off to do the full assembly on this thing. And like I said, I am using sort of upwards cup orientation. I have seen both online, so I'm not too happy with Bilstein's instructions on these things. Overall, I think they could do a better job on that. I put that little metal sleeve on first this time, and I put it in the bottom bushing. I'm not really sure it matters because I think everything gets compressed anyway. And one thing I didn't really show when doing the front, there's cutouts on these bushings for the screws. And then there's a little notch in the top mount, and there's a little, I don't know, sticky out thing on the bottom bushing. So that's how that lines up. And it is a little bit difficult to smush into place, but obviously once you go to 30 foot-pounds, it's going to get smushed into place. And then when you release the pressure on the spring, it's going to completely compress that thing in. So just get it in there as well as you can, and that should be fine. Now to compress the springs, it can be a little bit dangerous, allegedly, so I would be careful with this. And I'm obviously putting the spring compressors on sort of opposite sides of the spring, and that's so that the spring compresses fairly evenly. And if you have them too far towards the ends, you will obviously not be able to put the spring on the bottom plate, and you won't get the top mount on either. So they have to be down a little bit. Really just compress it until you can get this top plate on so that it's in contact with the washer and not just in contact with the spring. Be careful how you're orienting everything. I do a much better job on this one getting everything lined up correctly than I did on the first one. And then I put the top plate on, obviously the top mount, the bushing, and then the washer. Just like the other one, I used the 19 mil wrench, and then I'm holding things in place with a 10 mil so that it's not just freely spinning. Then I go back with the 19, and I just use a ratchet for all of this. And then I remove the compressed spring. Now these springs have a lot more coils than the OEM spring. The OEM spring, you would be able to get this spring compressor out no problem, but I have found that there is no real way you can get this spring compressor out just by hand. On these ones, there's just too many coils and they're too tight once it's actually in the strut. So I just take a crowbar, I give a little bit of pressure on the spring, and that opens it up enough that I can get these mounts out. It's still a little tough, but obviously I did it on all 4 of them, so you could probably do it too. And that's the whole thing built. Again, 30 foot-pounds on the top nut, and you're not supposed to reuse it. So you can see it sitting in there pretty well. I do have to adjust the bottom a little bit, and there is a little bit of play once it's in there. So if it's not 100% lined up perfectly, it doesn't seem to be the end of the world. Anyway, I get these 3 top nuts on. They're 20 foot-pounds of torque. I just get them on hand tight and then tighten them up a little bit on this one, and I do the final torques on everything at the end. And this is how I get that final bolt on. So you can see I've got the jack putting a little bit of pressure on that sway bar. Then I take the bolt and this crowbar and I push the control arm down while also raising the sway bar up, and I put the bolt in. I found that was just easier and everything was less compressed. And then obviously once the bolt's in, you just take the nut and put it on as well. Now, just like the other side, I did mark with paint on the frame of the vehicle to show normal ride height. This is obviously a critical step that you need to do before you really start getting into work on this thing. And then I take that bottom bolt once again and go to 155 foot-pounds. And just while the jack's in place and everything's raised, I also put the sway bar end link back on. It is an 18 mil on this one, but again, it's a Moog part, so it might be different on yours. And then I go to 65 foot-pounds, which is what the Moog part recommended for torque spec on these things. And obviously I'm using a wrench so that the bolt inside the end link doesn't just spin. And once that's done, I can lower the suspension. So the 3 bolts that hold the top mount to the vehicle, I've got those nuts torqued to 22 foot-pounds, and then the sway bar end links down to 65 foot-pounds. And that's pretty much it. It took me a long time. I started this job at maybe 1 o'clock and I'm finishing up probably about 10 o'clock. I did take a break to go do some barbecuing and had some hamburgers, that sort of thing, but it was like half a day event. And it was largely because of just how rusty things were. And one change I would make in doing this is I would buy a pre-assembled strut in the future. I just don't think it was worth doing it myself, and then you also had to pay for like the spring compressor, that sort of thing. So I think a pre-assembled strut would be the better call. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.